Oh, radio. Wow. Wow. See, this is where, and this is what I'm trying to get people to understand. See, when God calls you, when God has given you an appointment or assignment, see, right now, there's a lot of people trying to do things that other people have been called to do. You look all over the world, there's copycats. I don't know if you have that word in America. There's a copycat, somebody who looks at the, like, for instance, with this that you're doing right now, this show that you're doing, see, because of the success of it, you will have somebody or some people who will take the blueprint and trying to develop their own version, and they can do it. What is now, because they're not the ones that the original blueprint has been given to. See, is whole about. See, I don't want to start yet, but listen to this now. See, the control or dominion of this earth was originally given to man. That was the original plan of God. God gave original dominion, the keys, to man. Because of disobedience, now man gave it to the devil. But what is that? It was for a season. But notice that because the original dominion was not given to Satan, since the beginning of time, all the devil has been trying to do is to mess with the earth. So there's nothing that the devil does which is pure, which is good. It is to mess, because the devil knows that because originally the plan wasn't given to me, I am not mandated to look after this earth. I'm not mandated to look after what God has done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mess, see, with the original plan or with the dominion that has been now given to me. So that, you see, it's like, if you're a landlord, I've always said this, you're a landlord, you give your house out to, for somebody to rent. One of the reasons why, as a landlord, you will always go back to the, house to check, when the tenant is there, you check to make sure that everything is being looked after properly. It's not that you don't trust them. See, it's because the tenant is not the landlord, is not the owner. See, they have there's no reason. I know they pay the deposit, but there's no reason for them to look after the house like you look after the house. You know why? Because they're the tenant. Maybe after 12 months, after 2 years, they're going to leave. They might not renew the tenancy agreement. They might go somewhere else. But guess what? That house will still be there, and you will still be there, because that house belongs to you. See, it is the same thing when we come into, the things of God. And this is what I need people to see. See, talking about, how you can miss your appointment. There's so many different, revelations that I can bring. Like, for instance, when we consider the story of Esther, and this is what I keep saying to people, you've got to get to a place where, your heart is pure. See, underneath the story of Esther was a divine appointment, was a divine, a mandate that God had already, seen that was going to take place. Because when we read the story of Esther doesn't really start, or the assignment that God had for Esther didn't really start in the book of Esther. See, there was an original appointment that God gave to a king by the name of Saul. God mandated that man by the name of Saul that, listen, I'm going to make you king. But one of the reasons why I'm going to make you king is because as God, I'm all-knowing. I know everything. I see everything. There is nothing that I don't know. And this is why some of you need to get it. I keep talking to you about, the positions that you're in. You have no idea, or you don't understand fully why God has placed you there. So listen to this now. God calls a man by the name of Saul because there is a king in position. This name, or this king, is the king of the people that are known as the Agagites. So God will call Saul and say, hey, I need you to do something, because I'm God. I sit outside of time, and I've seen that there is a people who 500 years ahead of you, Saul, when you're dead, when you're long gone, they're going to rise up, watch this now, and they're going to destroy my people, because my people have a tendency to disobey me. And whenever they disobey me, what I do is I put them into captivity. And I know my people are going to disobey me on the one side. And the punishment that I have for them is that I'm going to put them into slavery, or I'm going to put them into captivity for them to learn a lesson. But it is never my will or my intention, which is not to exterminate them. So I now see that there is a young man, or there is a people who have an agenda to wipe them out. So guess what now? Now I am God. I see everything. So you, Saul, I have put you in position. So guess what? I want you to go to war. And I want you to deal with all the Agagites. I want you to take them out. That's the plan of God. God is not asking him any. God is not asking him to question what God is saying. He said, I want you to kill all the Agagites. Now listen, the thing about the Old Testament, a lot of time, for you to understand the warfare, for you to understand real warfare, is for you to understand the Old Testament, because most of the time, what is in the Old Testament is battles and war and that kind of stuff. So for you to really understand, what happens with warfare, you see, because sometimes you can look at it in the natural and you can miss it. So all this killing, because God foresees a time that is going to come. And so God is telling him that this is what I want you to do. I want you to deal with these people, because I see how they're going to come and how they're going to, deal with my people 500 years later. And so, you have King Saul. He thinks he's smart. He knows more than God. And King Saul represents a lot of believers today, because a lot of believers today, God is calling you to prayer. And the prayers that God is calling you for, see, it is not for you. It is not about you. It is to pray and put some things in position, watch this now, for the next generation. See, it's not about you, because see, everybody who's been called to prayer, whether it's the 7 minutes of prayer that we have on Prayer Mantle, if God calls you to prayer, then there is a reason why God is calling you to pray, because he's all-knowing. See, the prayers or the praying is not for God. The praying, watch this now, is for you. It's for the next generation. It's for the bloodline. It's for the family. Because God foresees, or God sees, the enemy's agenda. And because God cannot get involved in the affairs of men unless he's invited. See, this is the thing that sometimes I believe gets, causes God to be frustrated. Because God can see. He's all knowing. He's all seeing. So God sees, what just now, everything. And God it's just like a parent. You have a child, and you can see danger ahead. And you become more nervous or more scared than the child, because the child cannot see what you, the adult, you're seeing. And you want to do everything within your power to make sure that this child does not walk into that danger. But there are times when, what is now, your hands can be tied, because you can try as much as you want to, but they won't listen to you. And sometimes that is how it feels like for God, because God can see that, listen, this thing that you're doing, or I see today it looks good, everything is fine, you have your house, you have your car, your children are in church, everything is okay. But I see 5-6 years down the line, I see a time when you're no longer alive, that the enemy will come into your house, and the enemy will completely obliterate the standards that you have set. So in this season, what I want you to do is I want you to go into a place of warfare prayer. And you're there thinking, this don't make no sense. I mean, everything is okay. Where everything is well. I mean, we have money. We've never borrowed before. We've never lacked before. There's no reason for me to pray. I mean, what's the point? I don't see anything. Nothing is going to happen. God is like, I guess we should can see what I see. And that is the key. You see, because God will show you. God will give you. See, a lot of us today, and that's why the enemy does not want us to know. Okay? That's why the enemy doesn't want us to know, families. The enemy wants to split our families, because if you knew, or if you know the background that you're from, the family history, a lot of the struggles that you're having today, you won't have it. You won't have it. A lot of us, a lot of you listening to me today, you come from families who used to be. You see, and that's one of the saddest things. Used to be rich, used to be, prominent, used to be healthy. You come from a family where nobody used to be sick. You come from certain families where nobody has paid a visit to a doctor. But today, this generation, everybody is sick. Everybody is messed up. When the generation before, that was in the story. So the issue now is, how did this happen? Well, let me tell you something. God will always prod somebody, say, hey, listen, I need you to meet me at this time of prayer. See, it's not coincidence that God has called us to pray. It's not coincidence that God has called us to seek his face. Because, see, it is the one area in the body of Christ that the enemy has messed with when it comes to seeking the face of God through prayer. Because, see, you cannot have an appointment with God and God not keep his appointment. There will always be a response from God. Because just like I've been telling you, those of you that have been with me every morning, there is an angel that has been appointed and assigned. And we learned this from the book of Genesis, when Jacob, which is now, is sleeping. Now, Jacob wasn't having no good sleep, because the Bible lets you know that he was resting his head on a rock. But I love that word, because the rock that he was resting himself on was a representation of Jesus Christ. So here was this young man sleeping. And the Bible says God just gives him a sneak preview of the heavens, the movements, the angelic movement. And the Bible lets us know that he sees angels, which is now, listen to this now. See, the key here is that the angels were ascended and descended. Okay, catch the revelation. The angels were going up and they were coming down. Okay, the angels were going up and they were coming down. The Bible also lets us know in the book of Job that there came a time where the sons of God came to present themselves to God. They came to present themselves to God to give an account watch this now, of what they've been doing. Because when God asked Satan, he said, hey, where are you coming from? He said, I've been going to and fro. What are you going to and fro doing? I'm seeking, looking for somebody. I'm considering, I'm trying to figure out how to mess up somebody's life today, 2017. I want to mess. So he said, have you considered my servant Job? Because God is all-knowing. So God knew that one of the reasons why Lucifer was going back and forth was because his eyes was on Job. But watch this now. God also uses this communication with the devil to open us up to another revelation. To let us know that most of us, the reason why the devil cannot touch us is because whenever he comes close, he sees a hedge fence of protection around us. So God allows the enemy to tell you and I the protection that we have. He said, yeah, I considered him. I looked at him. Oh, I wanted him so bad. But every time I try to get close to his house, all I see is a hedge fence of protection. So now the communication, the dialogue goes on in heaven. Job is on earth minding his own business. But heaven, he's having a conversation about him. And God says, you know what? I love my son Job so much. I know no matter what I do, he will always worship and give me praise. So guess what? The very thing that is around him that prevents you from getting close, for a brief time, for a very short period of time, I'm going to remove it. And I'm going to allow you to go and give him your best and see that no matter what you do, he will still be standing. And so we know the story develops. Satan comes in, messes. See, and all of this, listen to this now, is showing you whenever you're going through some battles and some challenges, could it be, listen to me, some of you need to hear this, could it be that God is showing off on you? Because God will say, let me tell you about the woman of God, Paulette. Let me show off. Let me show off on you that even if I take everything away from him, if I take everything away from her, listen, she will still get up and praise me. These kind of teachings today is not popular because, we all want to have things. We want to praise God based upon what we have. But, so there's some of you that God just wants to show off on you. And God will allow the enemy to afflict you. Because you see, until, yes, Lord, until, see, you go through affliction, you will never multiply and you will never grow. Your appointment with affliction, watch this now, will determine your multiplication and your growth. Because when I read that text, I said, God, this don't sound right. How are you going to tell me that the more they afflicted them, the more they grew and multiplied? Because to me, in the natural, affliction will lead to death. The equation on this earth is affliction leads to death. But in the eyes of God, how God calculates stuff, God says, listen to this now, affliction equals growth, multiplication. So many of you, you want growth. You want God to multiply what you have. God, increase me. God, you don't know what you're asking for. Because there will be a season that God will put you through affliction. Because you see, whilst you're going through that affliction, that is when the dead weight has to drop off you. Hey, as you're going through the affliction, that is when the people that God sees that when I bless you will come and become parasites. See, when I put you through that affliction, Job, they're going to sit there and talk about you. They're going to tell you that the only reason why you're going through all of these challenges is because you've messed up. And so the affliction season will let you know those who are really on your side. Because I need to, there's a word called pruning, P-R-U-N-I-N-G. If you know anything about, gardening, pruning. See, every now and again, when you have a plant, you prune it. You will take off, the dead leaves, the things around the plant, that are sucking the life. They're no good, but they're sucking the life out of that plant. You need to get rid of it. And so for a lot of you, the parasites, in this season, listen, you're going through affliction because, and I don't like to preach, I don't like to tell you all of these kind of like church, I don't want it to sound that way, but I want you to understand that you're going through what you're going through now because listen, when the elevation comes, and I'm talking from personal experience, see, when the elevation comes, because your heart is pure, those people around or who've always been around that you normally run to whenever you need help. See, what you don't understand is that your level, what just now, is getting ready to be, to switch. You're going to go up to such a high level that some of these people that you have been hanging with all of these years, listen, they have not sought God. They have not sacrificed the way you have. And the tendency, or because of the way you are, anytime, my